In the middle of a deserted Iranian plain stands a stone tomb. There is no name carved on it. There is no body inside. Its treasures vanished in ancient times. And yet, more than 2,300 years ago, Alexander the Great ordered this very tomb to be opened. He was convinced that Cyrus the Great, the man who had created the first vast Persian empire, had been buried here. When the entrance was opened, Alexander's men found clear signs of robbery. The royal coffin had been damaged, the valuables were gone, and the body for which the entire monument had been built had disappeared. Who managed to rob a guarded royal tomb? What happened to the remains of Cyrus? And why do historians still call this his burial place when not a single piece of undeniable proof remains on the stones? The answer will emerge only at the end of our investigation, and it may be stranger than any legend. Today, this place is known as Pasargadae. It was once the first capital of the Achaemenid Empire. Now it's surrounded by a dry plain, scattered ruins, and distant mountains. The tomb stands apart from the palaces as though it was deliberately separated from the world of the living. It looks surprisingly modest. 6 massive stone steps, a small chamber, and a sloping roof. There are no colossal statues, no scenes of military victory, and no golden inscriptions. For a ruler who controlled enormous territories, it seems almost too simple, but that simplicity is deceptive. Cyrus could have afforded almost anything. His successors carved royal tombs high into cliffs, decorated palaces with elaborate reliefs, and built halls supported by dozens of towering columns. Here, however, there is only a lonely stone chamber that could easily be mistaken from a distance for a small house. It does not look like a display of wealth. It looks like a deliberate rejection of it. That is precisely why the tomb raises more questions than a luxurious palace ever could. Wealth is easy to understand. The modest grave of the most powerful man of his age demands an explanation. The lower blocks weigh many tons. They were quarried, transported, lifted, and fitted together with such precision that the structure survived earthquakes, wars, and 25 centuries of history. Almost no mortar was used between the stones. The monument remained standing because of accurate craftsmanship, enormous weight, and a carefully planned distribution of pressure. Buildings like this are sometimes explained with stories about lost technologies, but the real mystery is not how ancient builders lifted the stones. We know that ancient civilizations were capable of doing it. The more interesting question is why the founder of a great empire chose this particular design. Cyrus was not born as the ruler of the known world. He began as the king of a relatively small Persian kingdom. He then defeated the most powerful rivals of his time and transformed the map of the ancient East within a single lifetime. His empire united peoples who spoke different languages, worshipped different gods, and followed completely different building traditions. The tomb appears to reflect that same principle. Researchers have identified techniques associated with Asia Minor and the Greek world in its stonework. The shape of the upper chamber resembles certain burial monuments from Anatolia, yet the complete structure does not feel like a foreign copy. It is a miniature model of the empire itself, the knowledge of different peoples joined together in a single building. There is one more curious detail. The entrance to the chamber is so small that an adult must lower his head to pass through it. Perhaps this was only a practical decision. A small doorway would have been easier to close and protect. But the symbolism is powerful. Even a king entering the resting place of Cyrus would have been forced to bow, and yet an uncomfortable question remains. How do we know that this monument belonged to Cyrus at all? There is no surviving inscription bearing his name. No body has been found inside. There is no crown, weapon, or royal seal that can be linked to him with complete certainty. The main witness entered the story almost 200 years after Cyrus died. That witness was Alexander the Great. By then, the Persian Empire had already collapsed. Alexander's army had captured its cities. Persepolis had been looted and burned, but the conqueror appears to have regarded Cyrus differently. Alexander did not see him merely as the ruler of a defeated civilization. He saw a man who had once achieved what Alexander himself was now attempting to do: unite an enormous part of the world beneath a single authority. For that reason, the journey to Pasargadae was not simply a visit to ancient ruins, it was a meeting between one empire builder and the memory of another. Ancient writers claim that the tomb did not stand in a desert at that time. It was surrounded by a royal garden. Trees grew nearby, water flowed through channels, and the ground was covered with grass. Priests lived close to the monument. Their duty was to guard it and perform religious ceremonies. They were supplied with food and animals for sacrifice. This was not an abandoned grave that anyone could enter during the night. It was an official place of memory under permanent protection, and that makes what happened next even more disturbing. According to ancient accounts, the chamber contained a royal bed, expensive clothing, vessels, and a golden coffin or sarcophagus. The body of Cyrus was supposed to rest there, but during one of the visits, Alexander's men discovered that the tomb had been broken into. First, they saw the damaged entrance, then they found overturned and broken objects. The golden valuables were gone, the royal bed had been damaged, and when they approached the coffin, it became clear that the thieves had been searching for more than treasure. The body of Cyrus had been dragged out. Someone had entered one of the most respected places in the former empire, deceived or bypassed its guards, and taken everything that could be carried away. Alexander was furious. He ordered the guards to be questioned, but the identities of the robbers were never discovered. They may have been ordinary thieves taking advantage of the chaos following the fall of the empire. They may have been soldiers who knew that valuable objects were stored inside. It is also possible that people responsible for protecting the tomb were involved, but the gold was only part of what had been lost. According to the ancient account, the body had been thrown out of the coffin and left in disorder. Alexander's men had to gather what remained, return the remains to the chamber, and restore the burial place. The entrance was blocked with stones, covered with plaster, and sealed with the royal seal. It would seem that the remains should have been safe from that moment onward. But this is where we must separate two different mysteries. The first is this: who robbed the tomb during Alexander's lifetime? The second is even more troubling. Who emptied it completely after the entrance had been repaired and sealed? Well, we usually imagine a single robbery. Yet the empty chamber suggests at least two separate intrusions divided by an unknown length of time. The first criminal stole the gold. The second may have destroyed the final piece of evidence. Whoever did it left no known record. The remains may have been burned. They may have been moved to another location. They may simply have been discarded by someone who had no idea whose bones they were handling. But there is another, even more unsettling possibility. Perhaps part of the ancient story was wrong from the beginning. We do not possess a report written by Alexander himself. The original account of the eyewitness has also been lost. The story survived through later writers who relied on earlier works. This means that certain details may have changed as the account was copied and retold. This is especially important when we consider the famous inscription supposedly written on the tomb. Its meaning is usually translated like this: "Passerby, I am Cyrus, who gave the Persians an empire. Do not begrudge me this monument." And it is a perfect sentence, perhaps too perfect. No such inscription survives today. More importantly, ancient authors did not describe it in exactly the same way. One mentioned Persian characters, another referred to a text written in two languages. The inscription may have been carved on a separate slab. It may have been painted onto plaster. It may have disappeared during later alterations, but it may also have been a beautiful literary detail added to the story after Alexander's death. If we remove the inscription to the body and the treasures, what remains? Only the building and a handful of ancient descriptions. At first, that seems like very little, but this is where the real evidence begins to come together. Ancient writers placed the tomb of Cyrus at Pasargadae inside the royal park. They described a massive stepped base. They mentioned a small chamber above it. They described a sloping roof. They also mentioned an unusually narrow entrance. The monument standing at Pasargadae today matches all of these details. No other building in the area fits the description nearly as well. There is another match that is less obvious but equally important. The tomb is not hidden inside a cliff and is not attached to a palace. It stands alone in an open space. This is exactly how ancient visitors could have remembered it. not as one room within a larger complex, but as an independent monument that could not easily be confused with anything nearby. The ancient writers may have been mistaken about the objects inside. They may even have repeated an inaccurate version of the inscription, but it would have been far more difficult for all of them to confuse the location and the basic form of the building. The age of the monument also fits the lifetime of Cyrus. Its architecture belongs to the earliest period of the Achaemenid Empire. This creates a strange situation. There is no single perfect piece of evidence. There is no inscription saying, "Cyrus lies here." There are no remains that can be examined. There is no untouched royal burial, but there's a chain of matching details, and each new match makes coincidence less likely. The location matches, the date matches, the architecture matches, the description of the doorway matches. Even the ancient royal garden is consistent with what is known about the site. That is why most historians believe this truly was the tomb of Cyrus the Great. But the final twist came many centuries after his body disappeared. People eventually forgot who had built the monument. It became known as the tomb of the mother of Solomon. No one knows with certainty why that name appeared, but the building came to be regarded as a sacred place. Religious structures were built around it, and pilgrims visited the site. And it is possible that this historical mistake saved the tomb from destruction. Had it remained known only as the pagan monument of an ancient king, its stones might have been taken away and reused in houses, walls, or other buildings. Instead, its new sacred identity protected it. The result is an extraordinary paradox. Cyrus lost his empire, he lost his treasures, he lost his body, he even lost his own name on his tomb. But the legend of a woman who was almost certainly never buried there allowed his monument to survive for centuries. Now we can finally answer the central question. Why do we call this the Tomb of Cyrus when no direct proof remains? Not because of one missing inscription, not because of a sensational discovery, and not simply because a tourist guide says so. We call it his tomb because many independent details converge at the same point. Even so, absolute certainty will remain impossible unless an object bearing the name of Cyrus is discovered or remains are found whose origin can be proven, and that will probably never happen. The greatest mystery of this tomb is not a secret chamber or lost technology. It is the fact that the most powerful ruler of his age left behind an almost perfect historical trail, while losing every object that could have confirmed his identity beyond all doubt. In the middle of the plain, an empty stone chamber remains. No body, no gold, no name, only a monument that survived an empire, grave robbers, new religions, and the loss of its own identity. Perhaps that is the most powerful kind of memorial, not the one in which the treasures survived, but the one in which everything disappeared except the memory. Do you think the matching location, age, and ancient descriptions are enough to identify this as the tomb of Cyrus the Great, or should its identity remain an open question until direct evidence is found? Share your theory in the comments, and if you enjoy real mysteries from the ancient world, subscribe.